And we may as well kick off the chat straight away, nice and early, with some big breaking news about Denis Zakaria. We've got a blue in the building. Happy or sad that it's only Denis?
I mean, it was much more interesting, I think, when Alvarez was being linked, because it felt
You were
like,
so hyped, mate.
Yeah, because it felt like a future plan. Like, Chelsea had finally realised, like, okay, we've got an issue here. It's the DM position. Like, Kante can't run forever. He's always getting injured. And Alvarez felt like a really good fit for that. I don't mind the Denis deal. It's a loan. I think they've been pretty smart with it. I don't think it can go any worse than Seoul happened. And I really don't think it can get back, touch wood, Jesus, that it can get back worse than that. But I think overall, yeah, it's a position that Chelsea needed to fill. Like, Chelsea do have a decent amount of midfielders. However, 3 of them are injury prone. One of them is settling into the Chelsea squad in Conor Gallagher. And so that really only leaves you Jorginho, who at times it also struggles in games. So I think getting another one in who's much more defensive-minded, much more of a DM, is great. Like a season-long loan, if he impresses and fits into the squad well, there's the option to buy. Like, whilst I do think it's definitely maybe a bit of a panic, I don't think it's the worst panic in the world for sure.
What do you think?
I think he's been linked to the Premier League about 5 times.
It's so true. Yeah, United
He's been
for a long
about
time.
4 times at least. I think he's a decent player. I think he's going to add to Chelsea what Chelsea need, which is just at least some options off the bench.
Most definitely.
I think some of the people that are on the bench right now, Tuchel doesn't really fancy. So having him at least, I guess it suggests that Tuchel sees him as an option. And like you said, it's a loan. So there's no real obligation for you guys to keep him past this season. So yeah, not bad.
His injury record worries me.
I mean, he did have that horrendous injury when he was in the Bundesliga, didn't he? But prior to that, he was so highly rated, Denis Zakaria, and he was running his contract down before he went to Juventus. I just find the timing a little bit bizarre from Juventus' point of view, personally, because you've got a player who you've picked up early, rather than signing a pre-contract. They went out and paid the money and got him early in January. He's come in, and they've already gone, not for us, which that worries me a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, maybe they look at it and go, the game time might not be there for him this season. He played 2,000 minutes last year. And obviously, by bringing in Paul Pogba, another midfielder that has escaped my mind. Paredes, yeah. So there's obviously maybe not the most amount of minutes there for him, and they've looked at it and gone, okay, he's a guy that we don't necessarily see maybe having a future here. If it goes well at Chelsea and they buy him, brilliant. If not, he's developing over at another club where he'll get decent minutes. And I think that's the big thing, is Chelsea want to go far in a lot of games. So there are going to be minutes available, and whether that is for Gallagher or whoever, like Chelsea, especially over the past couple of years, get a decent amount of injuries as well, especially in midfield. So it's covering it. I think after that Southampton game and his comments about being tough, especially in the midfield, Tuchel realised that they need another DM there, and they can't just rely on Kante hopefully miraculously being fit for the rest of the season, which isn't going to happen. And yeah, like it's not Alvarez, which I think would have been the perfect move. I really do, because it would have
so late in the window though, wasn't it?
Exactly. And maybe they come back in January and they start talking about it and see what happens there, or next summer. Again, he'll only be 25 then, Alvarez. But I think it's absolutely okay. Like it's not groundbreaking, but it's definitely all right.
The only thing I will also say is that we've seen Billy Gilmour go out at the same time Denis Zakaria has come in. 2 seasons ago, we were talking about Billy Gilmour being one of the most highly rated academy talents to come out of Chelsea in years. Frank Lampard was loving him in that role. It seems like he's gone on a permanent to Brighton for about £9 million, which seems quite cheap.
Yeah, I think it kind of shows that Tuchel's just not really a fan. I think he thinks he's a decent footballer. I think Tuchel just does not see him in the plans at all. I think if it was a loan, I think he would have come back and Tuchel still wouldn't have played him. So in that sense, I feel like that's why he's fine with letting him go. I think it's tough for someone like Billy Gilmour, though, when he knows that you guys have a midfield problem right now and he's still not getting played.
It's really true. It's a good point. Because especially given that he was at Norwich last season and he didn't get a lot of love at Norwich either, did he?
The move is perfect to him. To play under Graham Potter, where he's going to be playing in a side that want possession, like that's perfect for the way he wants to play his football. I think that's really,
it's a great development club.
Really, really good. And like, I'd like to think Chelsea have put a buyback into his contract.
You hope.
I absolutely pray, because look, I've been vocal on the channel many times that I think Billy Gilmour is a fantastic player. I think he has a huge future. He's someone that progresses the ball really, really well, but minutes are hard to come by at Chelsea. He only just about got them under Frank Lampard, and he was wanted by Everton as well. I think the move to Brighton's so much better than for an Everton side. One of the things that we noticed obviously with Norwich is it's for the way he. It sounds like a bit of a cop-out, but for the way he plays, like he needs to play in a better team where they're going to have the ball, they're going to dominate the ball, and let him play in an attacking phase, an attacking sense.
Even though he's defensive midfielder, you mean progressing the ball?
Yeah, exactly. But rather than just running around like he was for Norwich and getting booed by the fans eventually. But I think
which was harsh as well,
yeah,
by the way. That was really harsh.
And also he went to Norwich under the impression that he'd be managed by Farke because Thomas Tuchel was friends with Farke and they had a good relationship and believed he was going to develop him. Obviously didn't quite work out that way in the end. And supposedly Thomas Tuchel did speak to Billy Gilmour as well before his move, and actually the board weren't too keen to sell him, and it was Tuchel that said, look, if he's going to develop as a player, because he's into his 20s now, like he needs to be playing regular minutes. Obviously he's a hope for Scotland as well in the World Cup, and every Scottish fan will be willing and hoping that he can get the minutes in to develop. And so I think if there's if Levi Colwill wasn't there, it probably would have been a loan. I would have assumed it'd been a loan, but because he's there, you have to do a sale for him to play for Brighton. That is, and I think it's fine. Like if the option of buy is there to get him back or buy back, not so much a first refusal like we do with Gehi at Crystal Palace. If the option to buy there is in that contract, then I'm happy. And I wish him the absolute best. I do think he is a fantastic footballer.
So Gilmour goes out, Zakaria comes in. How would you, if you were Thomas Tuchel, how would you line up that midfield? Would you go Zakaria and Jorginho now that Kante's injured?
You even start Zakaria?
Does Zakaria start?
I still don't think Zakaria makes the starting lineup, to be honest. I think when everyone's fit, he doesn't. But he presents an option for when there are injuries. Because I think you'd still go for the aging midfield, to be honest.
Well, Kante's good. He's amazing, right?
Kovacic is still your best midfielder, in my opinion.
When he's fit.
Yeah.
And this is the issue that Chelsea have, right? Like, you're completely right. If Chelsea have everyone fit, like, you arguably start a Kante and Kovacic or a Kante and Jorginho, whatever it might be. Like, we saw Kante against Spurs look amazing. And then he got injured. And so that's been the issue for Chelsea midfield for a couple of years now. Like you look at it and you go, okay, Kante, Jorginho, Kovacic, Ruben Loftus-Cheek, Conor Gallagher, 5 midfielders for 2 positions, like maybe possibly 3 with the way he wants to go to a 4 at the back. You're like, okay, it's not too bad. And then 3 of them are injury prone, so that leaves you with 2. And so I think, getting Denis Zakaria is great. I do agree as well. If everyone's fit, he probably doesn't start. Maybe in the back.
That's why it's a loan, though, isn't it?
Back 4.
That's why it's a loan at the end of the day.
It's really not too bad. I mean, there were more before the season started and the transfer window started. There were much more bigger issues for Chelsea, and I actually think they sorted them out.